Hey there, are you taking the ACT with science and you desperately need help raising your science score? Well, then this video is for you. My name is Kristina of Ivy Lunch Test Prep, and for the last 15 years, I have helped high schoolers dramatically raise their SAT and ACT test scores and ultimately land spots at the colleges of their dreams. So today, I am going to talk to you about a very specific question type that shows up on the ACT science section. And you probably have never heard of it before, but I know you have seen it. And what is this? This is what I call the infamous fork question. Okay, so now you may not have heard of this exact phrase from your test prep books, and there's a reason for that, because I made up the term. This was a specific question type that I have noticed over the past decade and a half of helping students with the ACT, and everyone was having the same problem with it. It was eating up so much valuable time, and most of my students, before I found out a solution to how to hack it, would inevitably get bogged down in all the details, waste time, and get the questions wrong. Okay. And every ACT section I have ever seen has many of these questions. So I'm sure you're probably wondering, like, what is this question type? What does this look like? How do I answer it? And that's exactly what we're going to talk about. So the first thing we're going to discuss is how you identify what I call a fork question. Then we're going to discuss the wrong way to answer it, the way you've probably been going about it. No shame, but we're going to identify what doesn't work so we can fix it. And then finally, I'm going to tell you my process for how you solve this question accurately and efficiently to where the question itself helps you get the right answer. Too good to be true, right? Let's dive in. So the first things first, right? What does a fork question look like on the ACT science section? Now, you won't be able to diagnose it from the question stem itself, but once you look at all four answer choices, it will become very, very obvious that it is the type of question I am trying to help you with today. Specifically, in your four answer choices, you will have two answers that give you an answer to the question and two others that give you a different answer to the question. Here is an example of what this looks like. So notice how it kind of doesn't even matter what in the world the question is asking you. I literally wrote blah, 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 blah. What matters to the fork question is that two of your answer choices go one way and two go the other. And more importantly, they give you reasons. Now, the reason that most students get this question wrong is that there's simply too much information in the answer choices to process everything clearly. Now let's talk about the wrong way to answer the infamous fork question on the ACT science section. So before I teach them the right way to go about it, I find that many of my students proceed by first scouring the entire passage or the charts or the graphs in the science passage to try and select if answer one or answer two is correct. Then they try to figure out which reason is correct. Now, this is the thing. The quagmire takes them 3 whole minutes to sort through all of this, and they still often get it wrong because they're trying to reconstruct the reasoning for themselves after they already made their decision. However, if we look a little bit harder at the answer choices, you'll quickly notice something else. So notice this. We have the same question, literally doesn't matter what they're asking. Two of the answer choices give the same basic answer. The other two answer choices give the other answer. But if you look at the reasons, look, because true statement number one, because false statement number one, because true statement number two, because false statement number two. So usually half of the reasons are false. Now, this is what your question might look like, but I'll show you another of what it might look like. Okay, here is another option of what it might look like. Look, we have answer choice one because true statement. And then the next one is answer one because false statement. Answer two because same true statement as above. And then answer two because same false statement as above. So here, there are actually only two reasons. One of them is true and one is false, and they repeat. And here is the big takeaway, okay? You can't have a false reason as the foundation for a correct answer, right? There's no way you're going to get the right answer if it was because of something that isn't true. Got it? Now I'm going to tell you my method for how I get my students to quickly get this question right and save overwhelm, time, and sanity on the ACT science section. Now, before I do, I have a question for you, and that is, have you encountered this question, and how do you feel about the fork question? Like, love it, hate it? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious. And while you're at it, just hit those like and subscribe buttons. That way, each week when I drop my latest videos about the SAT, the ACT, or college application essays, and I give you my tips and tricks and my updates and my hacks, you'll be the very first to know. Okay, so are you ready now for my 4-step method to ace this fork question on the ACT? Here's what you're going to do. So the first thing is, after you read the question itself, you are not going to try to answer it. Instead, step 1, you are going to read all 4 reasons in the answer choices. In other words, you are going to not say CO2. You're not looking at that, but you're going to be like CO2 because you're going to read the thing after the because, okay? And you're not even going to think about answering the question. Step 2, now you're going to look at the passage itself. You're going to look at any accompanying charts or graphs, figures, or tables. And you are going to figure out for each of the reasons, is it true? Or is it simply inaccurate according to the chart, the graph, the passage, the table, etc.? Okay. Now, anything that has a false or even partially false reason, you are going to cross out. That cannot be the answer. So step 3, you are going to look at the reasons that are left. Now, these are true statements verified by the data in the passage itself. In fact, a lot of times, there might only be a single reason that's even true. Sometimes it's repeated, so maybe there's 2 answer choices left. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes there's only 1 answer choice and you got it right. But usually you have half of your answer choices left. Now, finally, step 4. Based on that reason, the only true reason that you did not cross out, and that reason alone, which answer makes the most sense? Did you clock that? So instead of rereading the entire science passage, you are going to base the answer to the question on only the true reason or true reasons left in the answer choices after you cross out the false ones, okay? The test writers basically told you what fact or what concept is required to arrive at the answer. They gave you the logic. They gave you the reasoning. So use that free hint that they gave you to save time and get your point. So I bet after that, this ACT fork question isn't looking so scary, is it, right? So if you want more concrete tips about how to ace the ACT science section or ace the ACT at all, or the SAT, if maybe you're in between the 2 tests, there are basically 2 ways to work with me. One is you can find me on my website and see if private tutoring might be a fit for you. It's ivyloungetestprep.com. And then if you're more of like a lone wolf, do-it-yourself studier, that's cool too. I have a whole storefront of SAT and ACT books and e-courses, including the ultimate ACT science guide that you can find in the link below.